Hello, welcome back to my channel and happy Preptober. For those of you that don't know, Preptober is what many writers around the world call the month of October because it is the month before NaNoWriMo, or National Novel Writing Month, which takes place in November. This is a month where many people take on the great challenge of trying to write 50,000 words of the first draft of a novel in the month of November. Really, you can participate in any way you'd like. It doesn't have to be the first draft of a new novel. That's what I'm doing. There are many people that will write a memoir or other nonfiction, or they'll write a new draft of a novel that they had previously written, or whatever else people are interested in doing in this month. It's really just a chance to motivate yourself to write alongside many other writers and get inspired by each other. The organization itself is a not-for-profit that does lots of great work, and they run a website to help people along in this challenge. This year, I am very excited and proud to be joining all of these people in this organization in participating in NaNoWriMo for the very first time. I'm going to be vlogging the whole process like many other people here on YouTube, and I'm going to be watching your videos about writing. But first things first, I have to announce my NaNoWriMo project. That is the first task of this vlog today, is to announce a project on the website. I've seen other YouTubers will name their writing project something so that they don't have to give away the actual title of the book, or because they don't know what the title of the book will be yet. And I thought that was a great idea because I have no idea what I'm going to title this novel idea. I'm not very good at titling things. In fact, I had trouble even coming up with a project name for this project. I ended up trying to call it Project Robot Apocalypse and then thought better of it because I felt like I shouldn't give away the ending of my novel in the project title. So instead, right now, the project name is Project David because I decided to name it after the main character of Legion, which is the TV show that inspired my idea for my novel. But if you watch through this video and you have an idea of what I should name this project, considering what I've said about my novel idea, then please feel free to suggest me names in the comment section below. I will probably take one of your suggestions because I am drawing a blank about what to name this thing in the meantime. Now that I'm all set up on the NaNoWriMo website, I also need some buddies. So if you are doing NaNoWriMo as well and you're signed up for it on the website, then drop your buddy name below and I will happily go add you as a buddy. But now that that's all done, it's time to get prepping. In this vlog, I'm going to be reading through the Save the Cat Writes a Novel book, and we'll see what inspiration comes from that. So I'm gonna head off to a cafe and start prepping my novel. Let's go. I'm home from my very productive writing session, and I worked through the different beats for the Save the Cat beat sheet. So Save the Cat is divided up into 3 acts, where the first act is like the world and emotional state that they start in, and then act 2 is like the complete reverse of that. And by the 3rd act, they sort of like come back to where they were in act 1, but a completely changed person. The one act that I'm like really struggling with, that like I really have very few actual like ideas for, is act 1. I don't necessarily know everything that will happen in acts 2 and 3, and I don't necessarily know what order they will happen in or how quickly, or you know, if I've got the midpoint just right, but I at least have lots of ideas for act 2 and 3, and they might completely change, but like that almost feels inevitable because I have so many ideas and they're changing and shifting constantly, like second to second, as I learn more things about what's happening in this novel. But act 1, I still have almost no ideas for. And I think that it's going to be one of those things like in academia, like oftentimes we'll write the introduction last because the introduction has to like set up the paper, and until you write the paper, you don't know how to set up the paper. So I feel like it's gonna kind of be like that, where I'm gonna have to like figure out or maybe even write acts 2 and 3 before I go back and like write the act 1 that is necessary for acts 2 and 3 to take place. But that also feels like a really dangerous game because obviously like things that get set up in act 1 need to be like followed through into acts 2 and 3. It definitely feels like all of the work is going to be in like the writing itself, but I do feel like I'm getting more and more prepared for the writing, the more planning and plotting that I do, which is just great. It feels great. So the next thing that I want to do from the Save the Cat book is to figure out which Save the Cat genre my story fits into, because I think there's like 10 different genres or like ways that stories unfold. It's not typical genres like sci-fi, fantasy, etc. This is more like 10 different formulas that stories take place across. So I need to figure out which mine fits best into, and I think it fits into a couple, but I think probably the genre it is most similar to is the superhero genre, where the main character has some kind of like special ability. The one thing that I could see maybe being an issue with that is that you don't find out what her special ability is until the midpoint, and I have a feeling typically you would figure out their special ability much earlier in a superhero novel, but I really, right now anyway, want that midpoint to be a twist in the novel, and that twist is that she is in fact a robot. But I think I want to stick to my superhero roots because this was originally spawned from ideas based on Legion, which is like a superhero slash villain TV show. But I haven't read through all of the different like breakdowns of the superhero genre, so I'm gonna read those next and then see if I can come back to my beats that I've been laying out and are by no way set in stone, and see if I can introduce the superhero specific stuff into those beats. So I'm gonna get going on those things, and I will talk to you when they are done. I just got back from another little brainstorming session at a cafe, and I read through the superhero genre section of Save the Cat Writes a Novel. I learned maybe a couple new things about my character and how to bring out the themes from like Westworld into this story that is shaped like Legion. One thing that apparently a lot of superhero genre novels have is a companion for the main character that acts as a kind of mascot. I hadn't planned on my main character having a mascot, but I think it might actually be a really good idea if she has established right from the beginning a puppy or something like this, like a really cute animal companion that brings her company and love even in her most darkest moments. And one reason I want it to be something like a puppy is because I want to further develop this conversation about the difference between humans and robots, living and non-living things. And I think introducing a living, non-human companion into the mix will ask interesting questions about whether she hates all life at the end of this novel or just all human life, and whether she can hate human life when she loves this animal life so deeply. Another way that I want to bring in these questions of like ontology of the main character and whether she is like real or not is by maybe making her in the first act. I said in the last clip that I don't really know what to do with the first act of the novel. I'm thinking maybe I make her an acting student, because I think her ability to represent a human is like a central question within this book. And if she is an acting student portraying the different lives of humans in the first act, that will be interesting to play with as an image as we find out that she's a robot that all along in her like basic being has been representing and portraying a human without actually being one. I'm making myself excited just thinking about it, so I think that she has to be an actor or acting student in the first act of this novel. In the superhero genre, you need 3 things. You need a hero with a special ability. I definitely have that. She is the protagonist, maybe not a hero, but you know, our hero, and she's a robot, so she can do all the robot things. But then you also need a nemesis, and I definitely think I have that because there is going to be a researcher who created her, and he is going to be the major antagonist because he's essentially controlling her and created her, and she wants to take him down. And then thirdly, the hero needs a curse that is plaguing them, that humanizes them. And this is kind of interesting and weird for me because I need something that literally humanizes her because she's not human. So we need a reason to root for her still. And I think that reason is going to be maybe something emotional. But the curse also has to be something that kind of holds them back, that makes it difficult for them to use their superpower. So I think for me, maybe it is her need to belong and her desire to belong with humans and her love for humans that is going to plague her and prevent her from causing the robot apocalypse, but also really humanizes her and makes us hopefully like her, even though she's having these thoughts of killing everybody. So that is what I learned about my story today. I think this is also where I'm going to leave off my vlog, and then in the next one, hopefully you'll actually see me plotting this out on some cue cards. I'm gonna try to keep my novel writing process as analog as possible until I just can't handle paper anymore and it gets too confusing for me, because I do all of my dissertation work, all of my dissertation writing on my computer, and this writing a novel thing is like a hobby for me right now, and it's really fun and I want to keep it that way. So I kind of want to separate it from my computer work. So I'm going to keep going in my notebook, and then the cue cards or post-it notes, I'm not sure yet, and that's what you'll see in the next video from me on my novel writing process. I feel like I'm making progress, I'm definitely having fun, and I look forward to continue creating and telling you about my creation. So I'll see you next time for some fun organizing and plotting of this story idea.